The Fletchers held the most disgusting secrets behind this beautiful house. Okay, you guys, this story right here, I remember when it came out in 2022 because I was so disgusted by it. I didn't understand. It was so many questions that I had, and after I did the research, it's now even more questions. But I guess I will just never know the answers to those questions. This is out of Slaughter, Louisiana, and it happened January 3rd, 2022. Lacey Fletcher was autistic, and sometimes she was bullied at her high school. And then there was peer pressure. Though teachers and the few friends that Lacey had, they liked her. She seemed to want to learn. She had a bright smile and seemed to be very friendly. But her parents decided she should be homeschooled, and then she was pulled out. Shelia and Clay Fletcher, those are her parents. They would tell people later on that they didn't want to be caregivers when they became parents. I thought that was one and the same, actually. I did. I thought you cared for your children and in whatever way they needed you for. That's what I thought, but apparently I am very wrong. When they became parents again, they didn't want to be caregivers, and they decided not to give her care. It was around the time when Lacey was around 24 years old when she could no longer walk and leave the house. Now, I think she was able to do certain things because she was on a softball team, I believe, and she had a few friends, I'm thinking, but she stopped leaving the house on her own and decided that she just wanted to stay inside the house. And she became confined to her parents' brown leather couch. Her parents never once sought medical attention for Lacey. Not at all. Not at all. On January 3rd, 2022, Shelia, she would call 911 and report that her 36-year-old daughter was dead on the couch. They asked her, did she perform CPR? And of course, she said yes. I doubt very seriously. In order for you to perform CPR, that means you actually have to be very close to somebody, and that also means that you have to touch them. And I doubt if Shelia or Clay was going to do anything of that nature. When authorities arrive, I can only imagine the horror, disgust, and the sadness in their eyes to witness what they saw. Lacey was malnourished. She weighed about 96 pounds. She was partially clothed. And again, she told them that this is what Lacey wanted. She wanted to live under these conditions. Lacey had been neglected by both her parents, which was both in their mid-60s. But it was far more worse than you can imagine. Lacey sat on that couch for 12 years, not moving at all. She literally melted, infused into the leather couch. Again, she could no longer walk. She was not speaking. She depended on her parents for her care as her health was rapidly declining. And remember, they are not caregivers. Lacey was found in 12 years of urine and feces. They claimed that they kept paper towels next to her, and I guess they would clean as much of the feces as they could. She barely ate. They said that she didn't want to eat. She denied the food that they offered. That's why she was so emaciated when the police arrived. Her clothes had just hung off her body, that her bones was protruding out of her skin. Her bones was actually showing. Lacey was beyond hungry at this point. She was eating her own feces and her fingernails. It was found inside her stomach during the autopsy. She was eating whatever she could find around her, but yet they claim that she didn't no longer want to eat. As Lacey's parents woke up every morning, they look like coffee drinkers, right? They woke up and they started the coffee, maybe scrambled some eggs and toast. Lacey's in there in the melted couch, and I know she wanted to eat because you could smell the food, and she was offered nothing? Nothing at all? Maybe give her a piece of bread as they walked by, but you're looking at your daughter and you're not caring at all. You're not caring at all. The stench in that house had to be unbelievable, but they probably became immune to it. No one knew that this was going on inside the house, not at all. The house outside seems beautiful. The lawn is cared for, but little did they know there was a young woman that was being tortured. Because that's what it was. Tortured inside that house. I don't understand it. There was insects in her hair. Maggots was eating away at her body. Rodents had came in. Yes, rodents had came in and was not only eating away at her, but whatever waste that was underneath the couch from Lacey is what the rodents was eating. Now, there were signs that she had been lifted, but they say she was just in so much pain. No, maybe because by this time, she was infused into the couch and you couldn't lift her. I believe when they found out that Lacey was dead, then that's when they were going to try to lift her, maybe put her in a bed and act like she died naturally, but they couldn't. She was literally infused into the sofa. How long does it take for you to get infused into the sofa? We know it takes up to 12 years if it's a leather couch. That's what we know. How long does it take for your body to have the leather couch coming out of it along with your bones? How long does that take? They tried, I believe, to lift her up because they knew that they were about to call the police. They was probably going to lift her up and get rid of that disgusting couch. But again, they couldn't. They couldn't. They said the rest of the house was immaculate. I believe it. Because the outside of the house is immaculate. That one area that their 36-year-old daughter had, that's the only area that was just horrible. It was horrible. Lacey died of starvation. She had a bone infection and sepsis. Those are the things that contributed to her death. And her death was, of course, ruled a homicide. Now get this part. They called the police. Shelia called the police 2 days after Lacey had already been dead. Yeah, they were really trying to figure out what to do. But the fact that Lacey had literally became a part of the couch, there was nothing that they can do. They couldn't cover it up. They look like a nice, clean, respectable couple that's been together for so long. So believe if they could have got her out that couch and there was no signs that all that was going on, they would have just sat her in the bed and say she died of natural causes and it would have been the end of it. Probably would have had a funeral and people would have came and, oh, poor you lost your daughter. You know, that type of shit. That's what I really imagine what would have happened. But it did not happen that way. Not at all. Not at all. After the investigators had left this scene, they could not eat. They could not sleep due to mental stress of this gruesome nature. After what they witnessed, they couldn't even do it anymore. Clay and Shelia were both charged with murder, and on February 2024, it changed to manslaughter, and they both received 20 years in prison, and I hope they don't get out. They're in their mid-60s, so they'll be like, close to 85, 86, something like that. They'll possibly die in prison. And still, them being in prison, they get 3 hots and a cot, right? They still have received, and they will receive, better treatment than Lacey received when she was on that couch for 12 years. I say this a lot in a few of my videos. I have said that for 12 years, I was a caregiver. I have been in houses that people just needed me to help assist them. People just needed a slight break. And sometimes people just really didn't want to do anything. But the point is, I was there to help. They did not let their loved one wither away. No matter if you have an infant, a toddler, a younger person, a young adult, an elderly person, I don't care what city or state that you are in, there is always a place that can help you find somebody that could come to your house and assist you. And a lot of these places do come with your income. You have to pay something throughout your income. And sometimes the services are free. During the beginning of COVID, and we are still in COVID, but during the beginning of COVID, they were offering these services for free. They were even paying your own family members to help inside the house, making sure you still was getting care. So these 2 people, the Fletchers right here, they just did not give a damn about Lacey at all. That's really what it was. I don't know. The questions I had, I don't know if friends came over and they just talked to them outside the house, or they just went to the other places to see these friends. They look like country club people, don't they? They look like they like to be, in the neighborhood, and they like to go and talk to the other neighbors. They were always on vacation. And while they were on vacation, I don't know where they were. My grandparents used to always go to Aruba. So I don't know where they were, but wherever they was, you can bet that Lacey was on that couch, and they did not care. They was not thinking about Lacey. 12 Christmases passed, birthdays passed. Did they even get Lacey anything? I doubt it, because she didn't want anything. These people are old enough and smart enough to know that if you don't eat, eventually you will die. They basically just gave her enough to keep her alive. That's what they did. These people are sick and disgusting. And I bet as they sit in jail, the worst part about it is that their neighbors know what they have done. Rest in peace, Lacey.